Hello, and welcome to Variant Roles. I'm your host, but again, not the Game Master, Dan Gaston, at MadSciDM on Twitter. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm excited to be here playing some Invisible Sun because it's awesome. So I am going to kick it over to our Game Master for the evening, the Lady of the Void herself, the wonderful, the spoopy, Emma. Take it away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Uh, as Dan said, my name is Emma/Void Queen. You can find me at MK Hansen over on Twitter, and I use she/her pronouns. And tonight, I am going to attempt to lead these wonderful players through some Halloween adventures. So, why don't we go around and introduce yourselves here in shadow, and then who you will be in the actuality. Why don't we start with Maria?
Hello there. I am Maria. I use she, they pronouns here in the shadow. And tonight, I will also be playing Pelthantrin, known to his friends as Pel. He uses he, him pronouns. Do you want me to describe them or do we want to wait for that?
Read your character.
Oh,
sentence.
yes. He is an itinerant stoic maker who eats knowledge.
Thank you. And why don't we go up to Val?
Always so ready on that unmute button. Never takes me more like 2 minutes. Hi everybody, I'm Val, and in the shadow I use she, her pronouns, and tonight I am playing Cypress, who also uses she, her pronouns, and she is an established stoic apostate who disgorges creatures. It's fine, don't worry about it.
So much. It is fine. I am worried though. And up to Dan.
Excellent. All right. I already introduced myself, but I am playing Zeinlin Bell. Zeinlin uses he, him pronouns. Zeinlin is a eremitic stoic apostate who dwells in darkness.
Perfect. And over to Tyrion.
Hey everybody, I am Taryn. I use he, him pronouns, and we are playing Sweets tonight. We are a bizarre goetic, empathic goetic who hosts a legion, and we also use they, them pronouns.
Lovely and terrifying. And down to Anders.
Hello, I'm Anders. I use he, him pronouns, and tonight I am playing Hyacinth, who also uses he, him pronouns, an established ardent weaver who travels as a spirit.
All right. I guess that means that's it then. That's it. Okay. Cool. All right. So, to start, everybody, I'm gonna give you all a little bit of information about the kind of evening that you will be having. Let's start here. So, it is the time of year when the veil between the gray and the actuality thins, when the pull to shadow is strongest. And there are stories in the gray of ghosts and monsters and creatures of the night that walk the earth. They perform rituals to ensure that they keep these horrors at bay. They light fires, they sing and dance, they prepare great feasts, and they delight in mumming and guising. In truth, they do see these monsters, these creatures of the night, but they are merely themselves, their neighbors, their friends, their enemies, their secrets. Some remember and return, and others light fires and forget. The idea to light fires to keep these creatures at bay doesn't come from folktales or stories. They come from bits and pieces of memory. Because for you, Vislae, it is a time of festival. A time to light fires, to sing and dance, to prepare great feasts. These rituals occur every year, maybe every 2, sometimes often, but not never, to ensure that you remember, to keep away the pull of the shadow, because you see their fires too. So for now, it is a time to remember, to play, to celebrate. You all remember this. And this year, there is a new addition. There is the Carver Carnival, run by the Carver siblings. And feeling as though there have been too many lost to shadow, they thought a larger festival would ensure it would keep everyone more safe. And they really enjoy play and games and food and fun. So, the question this evening is, what will you do, Vislae, at the Carver Carnival on the night of the thinning veil? Will you be pulled to shadow, or will you stay? Will you light fires and forget, or will you light fires and remember? The choice will be yours. But first, we're going to see the camera pan out and away from the festivities, the night before the carnival. And we're going to begin at the Church of Midnight. And we're going to play our first sooth card of the evening.
All right. We have played the Lucky Coin. Magic of the silver is enhanced, gold is diminished. Notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Which, if that applies to you, then your ventures are enhanced. Meanings are good fortune, wealth, freedom, unexpected luck, and unstructured. Divination is typically something good is coming.
Perfect. All right. So, I want to first confirm it's Zeinlin.
Zeinlin, yep.
Zeinlin. Okay. I want to make sure I got the pronunciation right. So, Zeinlin. From the outside, sometimes the cathedral appears looming and massive, oppressive and glaring. And sometimes you wouldn't know at all that there was a massive church here in this square unless you just knew. And you do know, so you walk down the steps and below the surface and into the entrance, and at some point up becomes down and down becomes up, and then you're inside. So what does it look like on the inside? What is it that you see structurally in here?
I'm picturing a great hall with large black gleaming columns, almost like they're made out of obsidian, so faceted. They reflect the light, so everything is dark but illuminated at the same time. And there is lots of small altars of various sizes, I should say, not all small, but niches carved into the surrounding perimeter, devoted to a number of dark deities, powerful devils, and demons, and just a mix of parishioners and supplicants.
All right. So you also, as you enter, you see it's a bit busier than normal right now, and you know why. And you see a gathering of members of the clergy. There's a range of apostles and priests and priestesses and teachers. You see members of the Broken Voice and the Watchful Eye, which are two groups of the church who assist in outreach and support, and you will know them well soon enough. You also see a genderless figure with a tall, sort of radiant crown and a long, flowing purple veil that's standing, waiting for you near the top of the aisle. And they motion their head for you to follow, and they start making their way down. There's this sort of winding path, and there are some pews here and there, but it's a strange winding path, and there seems to be a larger gathering up front. Do you follow?
I do. I am sort of rumpled looking, because I'm always rumpled looking, with my best black jacket on, sort of collar turned up. It had been turned up, hands kind of stuffed in my pocket, but I pause momentarily to pull out a cigarette and light it, and then follow along afterwards again, hands just sort of tucked into the pockets of my open coat to keep it from flaring out behind me while I follow them.
Okay. So you're walk down this winding aisle towards the center. And as you pass, you see all these members that are lining the aisle. Some are sitting in pews, some are standing. They reach hands or insectoid arms out and just hover them over you. Some lean their faces in and breathe on you as you pass. Some whisper secrets or misgivings and sufferings to you as you pass. None of them touch you. They just let them feel the brief wind of you as you walk by. And when you finally get to the center, you see that there is this sizable altar, but it is not ornate in any way. And you see that there is just a simple bowl sitting there. And the figure who led you down here bows and then retreats into sort of these shadowy darkness areas off to the edges of the room. And then you hear a hush and a silence. And then up ahead, you see, heading down this winding aisle towards you, the high priestesses of Ruin, Ravage, and Mercy. And they are bound to one another with the chains of the hands of the forgotten, made of these writhing fingers of shadows and sorrows. And these priestesses' faces are floating and disconnected. They're elongated and featureless. And they each have a crown on top of their head of deep red candles that are always burning. And they have these layers of wax, kind of like armor on them. And the three are tugging and pulling at these chains, trying to both escape and bring each other closer to one another as they meander and float down the aisle towards you. Mercy is in the middle with her billowing robes of mist and shadow. And Ruin and Ravage are on either side. They are encased in tumbling and shivering shards of rocks and pieces of buildings. And they appear magnetic. Some are pulling apart and shivering and breaking and pulling themselves back together and then breaking again. Some are slicing right through Mercy, and she reforms elsewhere. And they approach. You can hear in your head the echoing sounds of gratitude, of pain, of forgiveness, of destruction, of healing and annihilation. And then you hear a soft echo of voices. And they are speaking in unison, though not at the same time. They're not quite in sync. And it's hard to tell which voice is coming from which priestess. Are you here of your own free will, in accordance?
I am.
Are you here by your own choice and means?
I am.
Are you here in willing and unwavering faith of yourself?
I am.
Kneel.
And I sort of, kneel. I put the cigarette out in the palm of my hand and tuck it into a coat pocket.
And suddenly you recognize that that bowl that was on the altar is now in front of you, and you don't know if it was there the whole time or if it has appeared just now. And it is filled with a deep black substance, an abyss. And you see these lolling and slithering tentacles rising and clinging to the corner before slinking back down. And you hear these voices again. Do you pledge your life in service, both here and then, now and unseen?
Oh, I do.
Do you pledge in life, in shadow, and in pale?
Forever.
Do you pledge in suffering, in the chains of darkness, and in the depths of affliction?
I do.
Drink.
And zero hesitation as I just scoop the bowl up and slurp it down.
Gross. And you can feel these writhing tentacles crawl your way down your throat and esophagus before you even finish swallowing. And you can feel them settle not just into your stomach, but into the pieces of you that you hide, into the parts of your soul that you have kept hidden away. They find you and they wrap around you. And then you hear another pause and another silence, and the chains holding these three together, briefly, these hands of these chains let go of one another. And these three priestesses are held suspended for a moment. and then they begin to grow just slightly, but they are in fact preparing to implode, and you see them pulled inward, and you can hear the shrieks in wails, and there is suddenly a milky black void floating before you, moving, kind of wavering, but keeping a spherical shape. And it's moving closer to you until it's an inch within your face, and you see your reflection, but you are different. You have shifts and cracks within you. You see bits and pieces of yourself just bursting with darkness and power. And then your mouth opens, and it keeps opening. And then your jaw unhinges, and you can hear in the distance your own scream coming towards you and leaping out of your reflection and into your own vocal cords. And it knocks your head back, and when you're back up, you see that the priestesses are reformed, and you see Ruin and Ravage, each holding this shadowy parchment, and their hands are like claws. And you hear again, press your palm into this, drawn from your voice and the shadows within your soul, and it shall be done. And it burns, and this shadow wraps around and seeps into your hands until you see your flesh bubble up, and a rune sort of appears on your skin before it absorbs right back in. And the camera pans back, and the night eventually draws to a close. And you are now an official member of the Church of Midnight.
As I close off a character arc, and that will gain me 1 acumen and presumably 1 joy.
Hell yeah. And so we now find ourselves the next day in the Nebulous Quirk in, is it Autumn Reach Towers? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Autumn
Run, I think.
Autumn Run.
Yeah.
Autumn Run Towers. And it is the day of the carnival. What are you all doing here today? Oh, we should pull a Sooth card.
Yes, we should. Let's do that. We have played the Conspirator. The Conspirator is a defender. The defender of secrets. So secrets, ravens, books, flame, if that is your heart. And I'm just looking for this to double check what the defender does. Everyone's venture is +2. So if that's your soul, any ventures are +2 as opposed to just +1. Meanings are upheaval, hidden agendas, and gossip. So
That's
there
beautiful.
you go.
So, what are you all doing here today? And if you begin to tell us what you are doing, could you also please describe yourself in the way you look?
So I imagine I'm just here relaxing after a very successful evening the night before. Zylan looks like a mix between Keanu Reeves as John Constantine and Keanu Reeves as John Wick.
Amazing.
So Keanu, Constantine, John Wick. He dresses like Constantine, so he's got like a shabby like white shirt, mid-thigh length dark coat. Collar's often turned up against the chill of ever autumn in Fartown. Smokes constantly, but he's got sort of longish hair. It's a little gray at the temples, and a fairly heavy, not super heavy, but a bit of a beard. And otherwise, I'm just sitting at a table. I live nearby. I don't live in the apartment buildings, because I live in an old abandoned crypt and an old abandoned temple nearby.
Of course you do.
Yeah. That's probably haunted. And I'm just enjoying the strongest, blackest coffee that they have, infused with just a little bit of an emotion leaf, and I am drinking just a little bit of hubris today.
Ooh.
And that emotion leaf was probably poured by Sweets, who's probably been roped into working this event at least a little bit in his bartender slash emotion like server capacity. So Sweets has probably served this and has now stepped off to the side, and they are probably taking a break after working probably maybe 15 minutes. We really don't have a strong work ethic.
And what do they look like?
Sweets is we are let me get into character for a second here. We have tan skin, slicked back hair, a tattered gray suit with bold ties, brown red eyes, and we've put on a little bit of size, but it's mainly the fact that we are holding in so many friends. And currently has a glass of their own and is probably sitting at a table near their first customer and only customer before they took a break.
I would imagine, and Cypress corrects me if I'm wrong, perhaps we are also at a table nearby, both enjoying a nice hot cup of tea. I think Pell just wants to just have tea. I think Pell is just here for something mundane today. And Pell themselves, he is not mundane. On an average day, he is about 8.5 to 9 feet tall, although today, due to possible crowds, has chosen to be on the shorter side of about 7 feet. A mountain of a man, almost in a literal imposing sense. Large, rippling, muscular frame. Almost entirely tattooed left arm that goes up to the neck that has these gears and cogs that if you look long enough, they seem like they're moving on their own accord. Their right arm is entirely mechanical from the shoulder down to the fingertips, something that they had built themselves at some points. They have a large lion mane of blonde hair that kind of cascades down and almost always has a pleasant smile on his face. And a small book, perhaps about this big, that he always keeps on his person.
Yes, I was just going to say, perhaps Pell and Cypress scheduled one of their tea dates here. Cypress is a little bit, well, she's a couple of feet, a little bit shorter than their twin brother Hyacinth. She has shoulder-length azure hair, often wears a plague doctor-esque mask over her face with the sort of long nose. She looks like one of the Bridgemore witches from Dishonored, if y'all know that aesthetic. She's got kind of the blouse, the waistcoat, the kind of black pants, and the thigh-high boots. Just always carrying a book bag of such, filled to the brim with these editions and her notebooks, and always looks like she's examining everyone and everything. And she sort of has a sort of quiet, reserved air about her, unless you get her talking about something she likes, in which case she will never stop talking. As Pell may have unfortunately discovered in their tea dates, she will just continue on. And please, Pell.
Oh, I was going to say that Pell of all individuals here is not at all displeased at the outpouring of information that you give him.
And this is why Pell and Cypress are best friends. And in terms of tea, I think she'd just be drinking some sort of hibiscus and lavender mix, just something calm to start the day with. Oh, I almost forgot. She has, peeking under the sleeves of her blouse, several tattoos that you can see that look almost like flowers, and you get the sense that they may be spiraling up her arms to some extent. Because matchy with Twin.
Speaking of Twin, Hyacinth is not much taller than his sister. He dresses in all black as well, but his arms are exposed, muscular, covered in tattoos. In fact, so covered that the very tips of his fingers up to his elbows is a solid inky black. And his head is bald and elaborately designed, and sometimes covered in a bit of an elaborate scarf. He probably is late. He was probably supposed to be here an hour or two ago, but he likes people and is one to stop and talk to anyone and everyone. So he kind of comes in late, sees his sister and Pell, and just pulls up a chair, sits down. What you talking about?
I think you've missed the most exciting bits, if I'm not... Do you want something to drink? I don't remember exactly what you like to drink.
Just sort of lean back, almost completely upside down in the chair. Sweets, can I get something hot and liquid?
I'm going to tip the chair.
Fine. Sweets slowly gets up from their seat and walks over and very labored and with lots of noises begins to pour this drink concoction. Would you care for any sort of emotion today? Or is there something you're already lacking?
Let's see. I meant to spend the whole day with my sister, so something to counteract the potential annoyance that I might feel, darling.
I have some humility.
Can you just pour the entire thing in there? He will need every single leaf.
We are aware.
Thank you, sweets.
Pell chuckles whilst drinking. They're just leafy water.
And so, Sweets, while you are pouring this drink, and while this brief interaction is happening, you all see coming into the Nebulous Quirk a group of individuals, and you see that, you know, one of them is dressed almost as if, you know, the old school carnival, like the actual carnival with those masks. One of them is dressed like that. However, you can see that they take their mask off and their face appears to this long flowing hair comes out, and it's almost as if they are featureless, and instead they have hair, their long, gorgeous, beautiful black hair. And another one appears to be carrying several masks, and they are choosing which one they would like to put up at the time that is their actual face. And they are discussing the carnival just down the street that is new this year. And you overhear them sort of discussing some minor, almost concerns, as some of the people who were there appear to have just gone missing. And that some people seem to have walked into some of these tents and didn't return. And maybe they're still in there having fun. They're not quite sure. So they're going to come here and have a drink and wait.
we should go and
We should go.
ask them
We
about
should.
their friends.
We should ask them about the carnival.
Yes, and whatever is happening there. Hello? Hello?
You see one of them like fully swivels around and like looks, and then like looks behind them.
We didn't mean to intrude, but we did hear about you talking about a new carnival in town.
Yes. The carnival, the one that's been advertised for weeks.
Right.
They
But-
don't get out much.
Yeah, I'm going to hold up the books. Just all of that. We
You
have
can
had
see their hand like slowly reaching for the book.
Mm.
Don't touch the vintage, otherwise I will have to remove that. We heard that your friend, people are going missing.
They're not friends.
We heard that the people are going missing then.
Maybe, or maybe they're there, or maybe they'll come back. But they're not here now.
And where were they before they were not there?
They were here.
More specifically, if you were to point it out on a map.
I don't have a map, but they were at the carnival.
Perfect. Any particular tent?
There are many.
I do feel that we're bothering your rest.
As soon as you say that, they swivel around.
All right.
Well done, dear sister. I see you are getting much better at making friends.
I'm supposed to be getting better at that.
I think you did fine. I think she
Thank-
did fine.
Thank you, dear pal. This is why I invite him to our 2 dates. Well, he wants to go check out a carnival.
I sort of stand up and just pull out and light another cigarette after finishing the coffee and sitting it down. So you're gonna go looking for some people?
No, we're gonna go looking for a carnival.
Finding things is a bit of a speciality of mine.
You don't say. Do you find people or
People, problems.
Oh.
well?
Cancer.
Well, such a shadow concept.
Could you perhaps, and this might be very difficult, it's a hard thing to find, could you find my sister a sense of humor?
While you're in there, could you find my brother a sense of humility? That tea doesn't seem to be working, and he will trip over his own head one day.
Sweets, before we go, could I have a shot of curiosity, please?
I need a shot of something, Sama, but we can oblige. You know what? My shift's running out. We could probably go check out the carnival with y'all, but
Oh, of course, come with us.
actually we just don't want to keep working, but
Oh, that is incredibly relatable.
Oh, that's so surprising. I'm gonna sidestep over and kind of grab my bag full of books and knock into Hyacinth as I'm doing it. And then just kind of step forward and lean back and say, question. If I asked Sweets for a sample of their blood, do you think they'd be intrigued or offended?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking Hyacinth.
Oh. Well, I mean, I would not be offended. Blood is the universal currency, and quite a fascinating way to get to know someone. So, go for it. Make a new friend with Sweet's blood.
I already have one, and that's enough. I shall play the long game with this. Oh, Sweets! Are you coming?
yeah.
Wonderful.
If you say so.
All right. Delightful creatures.
Oh, wonderful, Vislae.
So you head out. It's another beautiful day, and you can see it's not hard to tell where this carnival is happening. There's already a festival happens when it needs to happen. But you do see from afar these tents of varying shapes, sizes. Some are floating, some are not. Some are spherical, some are rectangular, some are triangular. And you can hear a cacophony of music and voices and laughter and screams coming from the ground. And you can see that it illuminates the sky quite brightly as these lanterns and fires brighten the whole area. And you can see that these tents and big tops and lights are a variety of different colors. You see silver, you see green, you see gray, you see black, you see indigo. The fairgrounds themselves are packed with all sorts of visitors and performers alike, and you see that there are these floating schools of skeletal fish that are weaving around between the crowds. The lanterns, now that you are here, you see that they are jellyfish, providing illumination. You see that there are pumpkins and gourds that are set ablaze and on stakes lighting these pathways, weaving between all of these different tents. And you see that the festival, you're not quite sure where the festival begins and ends and where the carnival begins and ends. And you see that there is a spider web of paths that you can take. So what is it that you'd like to do, Vislae?
All right. I kind of want to just like wander around through the crowd and talk to people, and sort of make general chit chat. But I want to like start questioning anybody and try and find somebody who is like missing a companion who came here. And I sort of just want to like casually talk to people, and I don't come right out and say it. You know, I make small talk. How are you enjoying the festival? So fun. Yay. Clowns. That's a good reminder, Vox, that we should probably play another Seuss card.
Yes, I was just going to ask you to do that.
We've played the Lost Star. Magic of the Gray is enhanced, and Indigo is hindered. So
Oh no.
Lies Ascendant, Truth in the Fade. Notions is the card family, and it's good or bad luck, great distance, great age, or great value.
Okay.
And look at that picture. There's a giant pocket watch and a big old kitty playing with a star.
Look at that kitty cat.
Okay, so you walk around for a bit, and let's say you find a big old kitty cat, and that big old kitty cat's looking for conversation and pets, and your eyes meet. So for something like this, now I'm asking you, Dan.
Sure. Yep.
Dan the man.
Yep.
Would you, for something like this, would I have you roll to see if you can finagle any information out of them, or does it start as a conversation and then I see if you need to roll?
It's totally up to you, how to play it there, and if I do have to roll, it'd be basically just based on their level. But yeah, no, it's totally up to you.
Okay, we'll start with conversation and see what happens from there.
All right. Well, I like this big old kitty, so I'm like crouched down in front of it. I want to reach out and scratch its ears.
And you see it stretch its big. This cat is probably a little bit larger than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see that they will lean their head down. It's probably like, let's call it a black cat.
Mm-hmm.
With bright yellow eyes, but you see like 3 sets of them and all three of them kind of like do that thing that cats do and like
slow blink. Hey, does it appear to be? Generally, I'll refer to it as they because I don't know whether it's a male cat or a female cat, or who knows, it might not have any gender. It's a cat in Saturnine. So I'm just like, hey, how are you enjoying the carnival?
You'll hear this giant purr motor slow down just a little bit, and they look at you. Well, it's quite nice. How are you enjoying the carnival?
Well, I just arrived, to be honest. We just ran into some people at down the street at the Nebulous Quirk, and we heard some people were having hard times finding companions that they came here with. They said they went into a tent and they haven't been able to find them since, so I thought I would just ask around and see if anyone had a missing companion.
I lost a ball of yarn.
Here at the carnival?
Yes.
Did you lose it in a tent? Did it wander away on its own? Not
Both?
impossible.
Both. I lost it in a tent, but it seemed to wander away on its own in that tent. I have
Interesting.
seen other people enter tents and not come out, but I think they're playing.
Which, do you remember which tent that your yarn went into?
And you'll see them like kind of turn their head and kind of look around for a minute. And then they'll lean in really close. All of them.
At once?
If a cat could shrug, this cat just shrugged. They have multiple joints. It looked really weird.
Well, I wouldn't mind helping you find your yarn.
Did I lose a ball of yarn again?
You said you did.
Did I? If you come across it, will you let me know?
Sure. It seems like a bit of at least a thread to tug on.
Get out!
Zynlin. Is that how you say your character's name?
Yeah, Zynlin.
Zynlin. We not have a suggestion.
Sure, sweets.
It seems like the easiest thing to do here is get lost. So maybe the intent is not to find, but to lose.
It's a good idea.
So, might we all partake in a tent together with the intent of separation and discovery?
I'm game if you are.
While the two of you are talking, this cat has like wandered off looking for scritches elsewhere.
We would inquire the rest of the group's intentions, or at least desires.
I turn around and look.
We also turn and look.
Hell is just taking in as they're taller than most, definitely not all, but most of the individuals here. They're just enjoying the view of all of these different shapes and colors and figures walking about, and the smells that I assume all of those things at one point or another are just shifting and in this like strange in-between flux. And he's just eating it all in with his eyes. And he's just lost in it.
I'm giving the cat scritches.
Hyacinth and Cypress are over there screeching the cat.
The turn is silent. It seems we are at a directorial impasse, so we should probably make a decision.
Let's go into a tent. Why doesn't someone pick one?
Wait, I know what to do. Hang on. Channel the spirit of Billy. That one.
We are unaware of who this Billy is, but we are interested nonetheless.
Deft is a very, very interesting, underappreciated doctor in the grey.
Oh, bless you. Okay. So, the colors that you see, in fact, that there are 8 of them. There are, I will relay them for those who are unaware of what those 8 might be. You see that there's a golden area. You see there's one place that is quite red. You see another that seems to be, you're not quite sure how to identify it, but it seems gray, but not quite gray, and it's soft, but kind of ethereal. Then you see one place that looks like there should be a tent there, but there's not quite. But you see that it's kind of encased in mist. You see another that is this rich indigo color. You see another that's just a soft ethereal blue. You see a green and a silver. So Cypress, which one did you point to?
I pointed to the one that wasn't quite there.
Oh, okay. Sure. So you, do you all follow?
Mm-hmm. As we go.
Sure.
As
I
we
don't
go.
know. We don't know about the rest of them, but we do.
Pal will say to Cypress, "Oh, that was the one that I was going to choose."
Wonderful, dear Pell.
We are normally inclined to the red, but
Well, learning something new is always exciting, is it not?
no.
I don't know why that just killed me. It was like, no.
So you start heading off in the direction where it looks like there should be a tent, but there's not. And as you get closer, you see that there is an array of fires that are near this. And before you get too much closer, let's pull another Sooth card.
All right.
Let's see how this... Let's just see here.
We have played the rat, which is the companion of mysteries. So if you're... double check the companion. Duplicates the previous card. So gray is still enhanced, indigo is still brain fart moment hindered. Mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. So if, like me, your card family is mysteries from your heart, then your venture is enhanced. Yeah. Survival, resistance, shadows, and concealment is the meanings.
Are no coincidences in the actuality.
The only thing might have more appropriate would have been if it was something for the pale, I think, but this is pretty good.
Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
As we're approaching this tent, I'm going to nudge Cypress and say, I don't want to go to this tent.
I dare you to go in there. I double dare you to go in there.
I want something if I'm going to go with you into this tent. Because I want to go into the tent that you least want to go into.
Because your tent was boring, that's why.
You don't know which tent mine was going to be. I just don't want to go into this one because it's the one you picked.
We are twins. We clearly share a mind. I know exactly which one you want to go into, and it was boring.
I want something or I'm not going in.
What do you want?
Surprise me. Something interesting, not a book. Books are not interesting. Something else.
I'm going to pretend for the sake of this adventure that you did not say that. I'm going to, the thingamadoop, scooba-doo-ba-doop, scooba-doo-ba-doop-ba-bee-bop. I have plentiful pockets, which means I have hundreds of hidden pockets in my clothing. As a spell, I use that to get something to Hyacinth, maybe some sort of lollipop to get him to go into the tent.
If it's a lollipop, I would be that would be fine. I would take that.
So if this is did you say that was a spell?
It's plentiful pockets.
So mechanically, Dan, if she is going to use that spell to find something, is there?
So that particular spell is basically one of these things that you cast, and you cast it on a garment, and it then has hundreds of hidden pockets, and you check each day whether the spell wore out. So I would say we could have the assumption that Cypress had
got it.
This is a spell that she sort of maintains, so she just has a bunch of hidden pockets, and she has money, so little objects or something, I think, would be.
I go searching through these pockets, and you see her pull out things like a little reading glasses to start off with, and inkwells and pens, then a human skull, and she goes, "Whoop, nope." No, that's mine. You can have yours later. Okay. Here, and she'll just pull out this bright rainbow lollipop. I will give you this lollipop if you come into the tent with me.
It doesn't really match my aesthetic, but fine.
I boop him on the head with the lollipop and then give it to him.
So you're gonna walk into the tent that is unseen?
Yes.
Is it just you two?
No, I think we're all going in.
Okay.
Apparently Marcus is also sweet, so
I'm too old for this shit.
That's all of my characters.
I'm just so tired.
I'm just so tired. Whew. All right, so you see that you walk past what seems almost like a fence, except there are spaces between them of these fires, and you walk in and you can feel this mist sort of begin to envelop you, but in a way that it leaks in through your skin. And it is quite thick, so you can see that as you continue to walk forward, it's harder and harder to see each other. Do you continue forward?
I want to gently rest a hand on Cypress's shoulder and another hand on whomever else is next to me. I assume Hyacinth is next to Cypress.
I have definitely linked arms with Hyacinth at this point.
Probably Zinlin, because I think Sweets is in the back.
Or here, but
just barely.
Yeah.
Okay. So you walk in, and because this mist continues to get thicker, it also begins to grow quite dark. And you see that it gets darker and darker until you are actually in darkness. And you hear a voice that sounds like someone is speaking right up in your ear.
find your shadow, and then you can leave.
So question, question, GM.
Yes.
Is it dark and I can't see because of like if I'm as if I was in a thick fog, or is it just dark?
It's just dark. For whatever reason, you could see that
Okay.
the light from the fires was illuminating this, and it got dark.
So the great thing is my forte ability is comfort in darkness, which is I can see in complete darkness.
Hell yeah. Okay.
You merely adopted the darkness.
So that means it's not like dark vision where you can see shadows. You can see.
I can just see. Yeah.
Cool.
In complete darkness.
Okay. So what you see is a vast sort of expanse that is here for now. And when you kind of get your bearings, you look around, you get your bearings of things, you see that you don't appear, there are no shadows to see in this space because there is no light currently.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no anything currently. There is nothing here. And as you're scanning, you see sort of to your right off in the distance, you see something. It's too far away for you to tell what it is right now, but you see something.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I sort of turn to everybody, whether they can see me or not, and say, "It's okay, everyone. I can see," and I sort of relay what I'm seeing. And this is obviously it's bigger on the inside sort of deal. And I'm going to use a spell.
Yay!
So I'm spending 5 sorcery. And what this looks like is I sort of pause and sort of push up the sleeves of my jacket and shirt underneath. And I too have black tattoos of various sigils all over my arms. And I grab one, and as I'm casting the spell, I peel the rune off, and it's like writhing, almost like an oil droplet, bobbing like a thick tar. And I cast it down on the ground, and it spreads out, and immediately starts rapidly moving through the space. So I'm casting Oily Seeker. I conjure a mass of oily black liquid that covers a small area. So it covers about a 5-foot patch at a time. It's animated. It's a creature, so it's a level 5 creature. And all it will do is move and search. It moves a long distance each round, so it moves a long distance. I think it's like 150 feet that it moves every 5 seconds or so. And I can't direct it, but it can seep through even the tiniest of cracks, covers terrain methodically. And as it moves, I always know where it is, and I'm aware of everything it touches. I know the level and name, if any, of any creature or significant object it touches. So like while we're in here, I'm just letting this thing do its thing to get a sense of any important creatures, objects, and things like that in the space.
Okay. And creatures in Invisible Sun is like a big old umbrella term for like...
It is.
Okay, great.
Any sort of like living thing. But this is aware of creature or significant object. So basically anything that's got like a level to it.
Got it.
I will become aware of. And I check for depletion every hour.
Okay. And could you reread the part just about how it what is it that everything that it touches you become aware of? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so I can't direct it. It's doing a random grid search essentially in the space. Okay. But I'm mentally, like, telepathically aware of everything it touches.
Sure. So you send it out, And you wait. And you wait. And I would say maybe half an hour. And as it's doing this, you'll get like a ding here. And then another one. And after that sort of half an hour, 45 minutes passes, you get maybe 12. So there are things here. Do you know where they are when it does
I
that?
do.
Okay.
I'm aware of where it is in space
Got
and
it.
what it's touching.
Okay. So they're all kind of like spread out. There's not one that's like, it's not like a nice, tidy little pattern in here. They're all kind of
Yeah.
like spread out. You see some you felt happen in rapid succession, and now you know that there are groups here and there as well. And I would say that the closest one would be that one to your right that you can see.
Okay. Do they have a name and
They
a
do.
level?
They do have a name. It's your name.
Oh, interesting. And whatever I would translate to for a level, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Which
And then you also found that there was a sweets that wasn't too far off. You also saw that there was a cypress. Maria.
And so I'm relaying
Exactly.
this. Like while it's searching, I'm like in communication with everybody here.
While this all is happening, because it seems like this might take a little while, I'm going to sort of nudge Cypress and say, I bet I can find my shadow before you can find yours.
Absolutely not. You cannot cheat by doing the thing.
I'm not going to cheat.
I swear, if you do the thing, I'm going to be so mad.
I'm going to use the resources that I have access to.
That is another word for cheating.
I'm not going to cheat. And I want to weave a spell.
Okay.
And I want to use both my freedom and my blood to sort of weave together sight and my own energy and see if I can see myself and find my shadow.
That's so good. I have really fucked up images going on in my head. Okay. So, for a weaver, do they need to roll to do this? I'm assuming that because there has to be some level of like challenge to be able to find themselves in here, right?
Yeah, so basically there's a couple of things. One is you need to determine the level of effect of what Hyacinth is doing, because that will determine how much sorcery Hyacinth has to spend and all of that. So the guide for that is the effects by level table.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. So here it would sort of be about seeing and finding something, and it doesn't matter the level of what of the challenge. In this case, it would just be like what's the level of giving yourself, I don't know, vision in a dark space or something.
I feel like that's kind of high.
And it will also matter the duration. So it's blood and what's the other aggregate?
Freedom.
Freedom. So both are default of 1 round. So like 5 seconds. And the default range is near. Cast it on yourself though, so that's okay. So the level's going to have to go up a little bit over whatever level you think it should be to make it last longer.
Okay. Could you say just that last bit one more time for my ears?
So you'll determine the level based on the effect you're trying to achieve. And like Hyacinth could be doing something as easy as giving himself a +1 that he
Got
can
it.
use on perception, right?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
You know, with the flavor of like enhanced sight in darkness.
Right.
But it'll only last a round by default because of the aggregates that
Okay.
Hyacinth is using. So to make it last longer, it's actually going to be a higher level
Okay.
than that. So it goes like 1 round, short, medium. So probably for the effect of like being able to look around and
Yeah.
for it lasting like 10 minutes or an hour or something like that, it's probably going to bump up its level by 2.
Oh my gosh. Numbers, y'all. I just don't. Okay.
Maths.
Yeah. So, okay. My brain's trying really hard to process the number piece. So if it's bumping up so basically I have to determine then as a GM, I have to
Yes.
determine then based on what he is trying to do, what the level is just for crafting the spell and what that looks like. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So like the level of the effect that's trying to be achieved, and then separate from that is the level of difficulty of doing the actual finding. But those are two
Okay.
separate things.
Two separate things. Got it. So first the spell, then I guess. If it's gonna just bump it up, you said that like to keep it going for like an hour or so would bump it up by like 2, did you say?
Yeah, I'm pulling that off the top of my head. It'd be
Okay.
but two maybe 3.
Okay. So then, and the base level was at 2, was that right? Is that the base level?
I'm not sure. It would be whatever sort of effect you want to get here.
Okay.
So if it's something like a +1 on a significant action, I think that's there somewhere, and it goes up from there.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for bearing with me while I read these. Okay, yeah, there's that. Okay, that's 3. That's level 3.
Yeah. So that's a level 3. So then the +2 would be a level 5 effect.
Okay. Okay. So does that mean that it's a level 5? It's a level 5 effect then. Is that right?
Yeah. So it would
Okay.
cost Hyacinth 5 sorcery.
Okay. So, we did it. Right?
Yeah.
Did we do it? We figured that out. Did we figure out the first part?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
If Hyacinth agrees that that's about the level of effect you want, is basically like a +1 on your searching.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Peter.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then what happens now? Isn't there a reduction of things? You have to spend those points?
So first you decide what the level of difficulty of the search is.
Okay.
And you can hide that or it can be open. That's totally up to you.
For purposes of my learning, I'm going to have it be open.
Okay.
And for purposes of also Maria, since they are a new player, I want them to see how this works too. So I would say I feel like I want to say like it's like kind of high, like a 13 or a 14. Does that sound right? Is that super high?
So a level 10 would be like the maximum that a mortal could do. Like and anything above that is superhuman.
Okay. Okay, all right.
So if it's something that like
I get it now.
the Olympic athlete
Got it.
of looking for things could do, then that would be like a level 10.
I analyzed what these challenge ratings said differently in my head. Okay, So then I would say that it would be like a I mean, there's nothing here, but like a 6 or 7? Is that too high?
No.
This is going to be the hardest part for me, y'all. Okay.
So then I roll.
Well,
Guess?
now you would see, first of all, if... Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say now is the like building the venture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd be at 1 from the side effect of your spell, and then it would be if you have any skills related to searching.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Nope.
So the 1 would subtract off, whether it's the 6 or 7.
And then can I spend anything to make that easier?
Yes, you could spend. This would be from your perception pool.
Cool.
You could spend a bene.
Okay, so I'll do that too. So I'll spend 1 Benny. 1 Bene.
1 Benny.
And cast
1
my
Billy.
spell.
And you're magically enhanced, so you're rolling 2 dice.
Okay. So when I cast this, my hands sort of weave together, and you watch from sort of out of the tattoos, the actual veins continue and they darken, like my very blood is black, and it sort of travels up the body, up and into the eyes. And you just see the veins around the eyes as this dark, dark black as the spell takes over my vision. And I look for myself. That is an 8.
So that's a success.
That's a success.
Ah! You did it.
Did it!
Okay, cool. And no flex, bummer. Okay. So, you are able to, after a little bit, find yourself, and you see that that it's a little bit far away. It's a bit far away from where the group is now, assuming that none of you have moved just yet. But it's within walking distance. It just might take you 10, 15 minutes to get there.
Am I by myself?
No, you are not. I am linked arms with you, and even though I cannot see what you're doing, Cypress goes, I know you're doing a thing, and I'm very disappointed in you.
Going to pull my arm out.
Don't even think about it!
And put the lollipop in your hand and fold your fingers around the lollipop, and then just sort of turn and back away into the darkness. Because I found my shadow, and I told you I'd win, and I'm going to go to it.
Hyacinth, this is not the place you separate!
Your shadow was also not alone.
Oh.
I assume that was the question you were asking.
Yes. Yeah.
Your shadow is not alone, or this other version of yourself that you can assume is your shadow.
Who's with my shadow? Is it anyone I know?
Yes. They happen to be, well, they were before you backed away into the darkness. They were standing near you. He was standing near you.
Just going to call out to them. Also, Cypress, your book friend should come with me because I found them too, because I'm just very awesome.
What a brilliant idea! If only we knew where you were. Great thinking, good planning.
Look, I can take you over, and probably this has been like I've probably hit like the first of my people like while this is happening. My searcher's also finding us. Hyacinth and I can guide everyone around because we can see currently.
Good.
So, how about I
Thank
lead
you.
the 3 of you and follow after Hyacinth to their shadow?
Thank you.
This doesn't count as a win!
This whole carnival is a game and I am the best at it.
No, you are not!
Don't get
I
lost.
threw a lollipop in the direction of the voice.
We don't
Look,
appreciate sweets.
When you do that, you
pasta.
don't hear the lollipop hit anything.
Oh, that's. I go to pull out my book to write that down, and then like, oh, it's darkness.
No, you can hear your footsteps in here. That lollipop just didn't hit the ground.
Oh no, I want to record that it didn't hit the ground, and I try and write it in my book, but then I remember I can't see.
That's right. So, if you were to like, you are here. You all are kind of like around here. If the entrance is that way. So.
Yeah.
that doesn't need to make sense to anybody.
I'm just holding on to Zinlin's shoulder. Steinlin, my apologies. Holding on to his shoulder, not letting go.
We are inquiring after Zinlin and our way out of here. So.
Never fear. I believe I once worked as a tour guide.
Which group are you going to first?
Well, I'm following after Hyacinth, so I'm going to lead them after Hyacinth so that we all stay together.
Sure. So Hyacinth. First of all, let me check in. Does anybody need a quick bio break? We're at 9:24 Eastern. Quick break? Do you need a quick break? Okay. Just before you approach yourselves, we're going to take a super duper quick break, y'all. Go hydrate.
All right. I will take us to break. And we're back.
Hello, everyone. We are back. For those of you who are just joining us, we are experiencing Selwyn in Saturnine this evening. And they are currently at a carnival of a variety of different tents that they could go visit. And they chose to visit the tent that was not there. And they are in a bit of a strange, dark expanse searching for their own shadows. So, Hyacinth, you are leading the charge on your way down there, with everyone else in tow. And you see these figures up ahead. And as you begin to approach this creature of sorts, or whatever it is, yourself, I think we're going to play a Soothe card.
All right. What do we have? Harvesting Spider. Magic of the Red is enhanced. Yeah, a bit of a content warning there, folks, for the picture. Magic of the Blue is... There's just a general content warning with Invisible Sun. Magic of the Blue is hindered. Again, Mysteries, Rats, Mirrors, and Stone. So that's my card family. So +1 to your ventures. Meanings: action, labor, and stealth. Spiders are so many things: builders, weavers, and caretakers, but also hunters, killers, and blood drinkers. The harvesting spider cares for your young, but at the expense of what she harvests, and that just might be you. She is stealthy and sneaky. Her many footsteps are silent. Regardless, spiders never stop working. They build and create to serve specific purposes.
So, you approach yourselves. And Hyacinth, you do recognize yourself, and Pell, you recognize yourself standing next to him, except you are distorted. You are significantly older than you are now. And you seem almost as if you are here, but you are not here. As if you are lost, but not looking.
I say, Hyacinth, do you mind waiting just 1 second?
Fine.
All right. I have a bad feeling about this, and I've got something that might help us if we get into trouble. Including you. A little bit of a boost.
Well, you said a second has passed, so...
All right, okay, yeah. And I just release one of the incantations from my mind. And I cast The Spider's Heart is a ruby ring. Hyacinth is going to be the only one who can see this, as all 10 of my fingers lengthen and grow into 10 furry, arachnid-like legs.
Ooh.
At the end of each leg is a crimson pearl. And I began plucking out the pearls and giving 2 to each individual and telling them to eat it.
I do so immediately.
We have no reservations.
It's
I
fine,
have
don't worry about it.
one reservation. What am I holding?
It's a
What
bit
does
of a...
it feel like?
It feels
just
like a
a
little
literal
ruby. Like a little pearl. Just swallow it. It's gonna give you some energy. Mechanically, what it will do is it will give each of you, for each pearl that you eat, it gives you a extra bene over your, so it can be above your normal limit in your physicality pool. So you'll get 2.
Ooh. just in case we need to like run or punch real hard.
Yeah,
A gift for Mr.
or-
Spider.
or soak up,
Stop.
or soak up getting punched.
I
Knock,
eat
knock.
mine.
Stop! I'm still traumatized.
Sorry, that's a Magnus
Oh.
Archives reference for anybody who's been partaking.
Happy Halloween.
So
make
I popped 2 myself,
okay.
and then I washed them down with this clear elixir that I pulled out, shoot down as well, which is another ephemera, my Taste of Alacrity. So next time we enter action mode, I'm gonna get 2 actions instead of 1.
Oh, well, look at me. Okay. So, Hyacinth, what do you do? These 2 are not facing either of you. They are facing away.
I'm going to sort of strike the same pose as the other me and then just try to step into my shadow and just reform us together.
Okay. All right. So, so as you do this, you feel that you are met first with something that has some give to it. They aren't pushing back necessarily, but they're like moving with you, and yet you can feel almost on your... Are you walking right into them? Like you're not backing into them, you're walking into them.
Walking into them.
Okay. You can feel as you do that, kind of across the front of your body, you can feel these tiny little... Or what are they called? Cilia? Is that what they're called? All across the front of your body.
I don't stop. If I can go into it, I will.
Okay. So you push a little harder. And you can feel that you are beginning to step into yourself as these tiny little tentacle-like cilia begin to actually leak into you. They're reaching inside of you. And when they reach inside of you, when you have finally fully walked inside of your shadow, you are not here anymore. You are in an emptiness of sorts. You can't quite figure out where it is. But in front of you, you see yourself. And you are on your deathbed. What is it that you look like? And how is it that you are dying?
I'm pale. So pale. Like every drop of blood in my body has slowly left.
And what do you do while you are here, staring at yourself, dying?
I go and I take the arm and I check the veins to see if they are black.
Are they?
They are. And I put the arm down. Because this is a reality that cannot come to pass. I will not die on a deathbed like this.
So what do you do?
I know how to walk outside my body, and I know how to go back into my body when I've left. I want to go back into my body.
So what does that look like?
Normally, when I separate my spirit from my physical form, it's as if the very tattoos on my body pull off and become a second entity. Here in this space, I kind of look at myself and see that I am nothing but black ink. And so I begin to sort of pull on those tattoos until the rest of me reappears and solidifies, and I'm a person again.
Okay, so as you do this, you find that everything sort of begins to fade momentarily. And you are back, and you are sort of walking away from the group as if you had just stepped into that body and kept walking.
Does that mean I win?
Do you say that out
No!
loud?
I do, yes.
Do you say that out loud?
Absolutely, I do.
No, we've talked about this. Cheating does not count.
You hear a tiny voice, again, right up next to you.
Maybe.
Do I have to wait for the rest of them, or can I, move on?
The choice is yours.
Meanwhile, for the rest of you, this was seconds.
So back in the pale, we are going to think for a second. If we are looking for a chateau, we should be searching for many shadows. And when I use an ephemera, that creates 99 duplicates of myself.
Oh, fuck.
Got 99 problems.
And
shadow ain't
sweets ain't
one.
one. We
Okay.
are going to create 99 duplicates of ourselves around us and begin to step forward as Legion.
Y'all. Okay. First of all, what does it look like when you do this? Please walk us through that.
Sweets is sort of this tattered, very almost sun-cracked, tanned figure in a very dark gray suit with these bold ties, the color sort of fleshing in between, especially in between these figures that seem to sort of begin to shift out of their singular form. But it's not as if it's something that has not been beholden before. This is almost right. This is correct. This is genuine for what this form is. There is a vast form sort of splayed out into these duplications, these couplings that sort of etch themselves into creation in this pale imitation of reality, of the actuality.
And you said you begin to step forward.
Yes.
And what is your goal in stepping forward?
We search out one of the many shadows that call to us.
Okay. So, for the rest of you, Zeinlin, you see this happen. You absolutely see this happen.
Nice trick.
The rest of you only feel this happen. And Sweets, do all of you breathe? Does the Legion breathe?
We sigh in relief.
Okay. So the rest of you not only feel an expansion occur, but you can hear a sigh. Many sighs, I'm assuming. And as soon as you do this and begin to walk forward almost as if you were doing a sweep looking for yourself, you actually hear a voice in your head, the voice that you heard earlier when you first entered, saying,
Turn and look at yourselves. That's all you have to do.
We turn inward and sort of what was once a line is now a circle. Encompass ourselves in knowledge of our own being, our own creation.
As you do this, you notice that one of them is unlike the others.
We converge.
Okay. As you do this, you are filled with a knowledge, a secret that you had actually forgotten about yourselves. What is this secret that you have now remembered?
When we were one.
T. Okay. You can now see, as you are, after you have converged, that you are back standing in this darkness. You have this new remembrance of yourself. And you can feel the weight of this pale emptiness lighten just a bit.
Okay.
Are these intrusions that I'm doing and it's just happening? Is that what's happening? Okay.
They could be.
Okay.
It's all good, that's all.
Okay. Cool. Just checking in. Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
So have I pinged out where anyone else's and then I'm supposing that I'm getting pings for shadows from my searcher of just like people, like names that I don't necessarily know, right?
Yeah, you know some of them, but you don't know all of them. And Pel's individual shadow is right here. And then you and Cypress are not too far away.
Okay. So I sort of angle Pel and describe like their relationship. I act as their let me be your eyes. And describe the relationship between their shadow and Pel.
Okay. I can't see. But I want to try to get in front of my shadow and face it as best I can without being able to see it.
I'll help you.
Okay. Yeah. I will articulate this to you, that this is what I wish to do.
All right. So you are facing yourself, and Seinlin, if you're there, you can see that his sort of whatever is standing in front of him appears not just distorted, but also almost oddly mundane.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't notice this at all.
Zylan is definitely thinking about shadows versus shadows. But I don't say anything.
I have the worst poker face on the planet.
I think I'm just gonna step forward into face to face.
Okay, all right. You do that. You begin to step into yourself facing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you do. And you converge. And suddenly you are at a place that you have sort of forgotten about, but were in recently. And it was your life in shadow. It was your life before you remembered everything. It was your life before you remembered that you escaped. You are back in the gray. And it feels comfortable. And it feels normal. And it feels like home. And you wondered why you left. What does your house look like?
Pell doesn't have a house of their own. They live in almost, one might consider it some sort of place of study. A place where he lives and breathes and exists to learn things that people don't already know, or things that beings don't already know. And he has a room here that is just floor, walls, and ceilings of places that he can write. And his writing is almost mechanically perfect. And it's in this shorthand that he's created himself of symbols and letters and something kind of pictographical. And there are others like him in mindedness, but very much not like him in physicality. Everyone here is very different. He spent a lot of time here.
As you are looking down, you have a number written there that you don't really remember why you wrote it. And the number, what is the number? I can tell you it is between 1 and 20. What's the number that you have written?
14.
Okay. You, as you sort of sit there, you feel that there is something tugging at the back of your head, but you can't quite place it. And really, though, it feels fine here. You feel like you were somewhere else just now, but this is fine. It feels a little empty, but it's fine.
Yeah, I'm often elsewhere in my own thoughts, so that's not unnatural. think I'll start. In this space, I'll pull out this piece of charcoal, and I'll just start writing the number 14 elsewhere, pairing it next to things that I've already written, and then writing it upside down. I'm writing it in a sequence, forwards and backwards, trying to jog any sort of memory of why it's important.
So you're writing it over and over again, and you feel like you're right on the cusp of figuring out what is it that it means. This means something. There's something about this number that's important, and you can't quite remember what it is. And suddenly you can feel the warmth of a fire behind you.
It's odd there's not a fire in this room. We'll turn to face it.
As you turn around, you're sort of looking and you see, what is on the wall behind you?
What is typically on the wall behind me, or what is there now?
What is there? No, what do you see in this room?
I see.
Like, is it a bookshelf? Is it a window?
Oh, like what's on
like
this
what's
wall?
what's literally
Literally
on
on this wall? Oh,
yeah, literally on the wall.
I think it would be bookshelves. Yeah.
Okay. In the bookshelves, you see them all kind of like burning as if there's a fire here, but it's like also not quite here.
This doesn't concern Pell as much as perhaps burning books would concern one who is interested in knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And he steps towards it and is gonna kind of reach out towards the fire to see if it's actually real.
You reach your hand out, and it feels warm, but it doesn't burn you. And your hand is touching a book that looks nice. Feels nice when you touch it.
Pull it out. What book have I pulled?
What book did you pull?
Oh, jeez.
Is it Poe?
It's not Poe. It is not the Poe. I think it is a book of mythology.
Okay.
One that tells of gods and deities and those whom mortals merely created with their minds.
Or so we think.
Or
And
so they say.
So you're holding it, and you flip it open. And the very first page is a page that you don't ever recall seeing there previously, and it's a page that talks about an undergod that sort of reigns over a darker version of everything. You see a description of this deity of sorts that seems to guard truth, but the truths that we don't ever want to admit, the truths of how things actually are rather than how we frame them. And that page looks really cool, really nice, really good.
Would you say it looks tantalizingly delicious?
Does it?
It looks enticing at the very least. Pell is very interested in getting past this this one who guards the actual truths, as that is the thing that Pell seeks constantly. It's knowledge and the truths behind all things. And so I think without even realizing it, Pell is just gonna reach down for the page with one hand, and I don't think actually rips it out, but I think is trying to peel the words off the page and almost eat just the words off the page.
Okay, and as you're sort of like trying to do this, you do see all of these words float off of this page and begin to just travel right towards your mouth.
Much like a delicious soup, I slurp it up.
Okay, and you feel all of this knowledge internalize inside of you, and you feel nourished and you feel full and you want more, and suddenly you remember that where you are isn't right and you're not supposed to be here, and this is something that was all fabricated. It was part of a truth to make the reality seem easier. And
so really,
as
it's just a convenient lie.
And as you realize this, you are back and you are staring at Zeinlin. And for what Zeinlin saw, you saw for a brief moment Pell stand there looking mundane and normal and comfortable. And you watched their facial expressions go from totally comfortable and fine to confused to curious to the recognition of this isn't right.
There's definitely like a twinge of anger with that. The idea that they had been fooled to believing this lie as truth. It does not sit well with them.
Dan, you're muted. I can't.
I can't.
So, because Pell's like 7 feet tall, I reach up to Pell's shoulder and just like put my hand there for a second and then just say, never let the lie win.
Yeah, great job, Pell. That could have been terrible. There are no coincidences in the actuality, y'all. That number 14, that was wild. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Oh.
Do I still feel full?
You feel like you do normally.
Okay.
But you do feel a little bit, you feel full isn't quite the right word.
Okay.
Well, Cypress, your turn.
Point me in the direction.
And I'll walk Cypress over to where our shadows are, and I'll relay whatever I see in terms of, like, this is where your shadow is, and all of that sort of thing.
So Cypress, you see yourself there, and you are sitting.
What a curious little creation you are. And I'm going to reach out and try and touch the shadow.
As you reach down to touch the shadow, they do look around and look up at you, and you can see actually in their hands they are holding a creature.
Oh, how Wonderful.
Maybe.
Not great. Love
Maybe
it. Not great. Listen.
Maybe not great.
Listen, it's fine.
And you see yourself look up at you and say, "Do you want to play?"
Oh, I greatly want to play.
And she holds up this little creature. What does the creature look like?
The creature looks like it almost looks like a spider, but the legs and body are just twisted and warped, and the eyes are too big for the head and it bulges out of the body. And when they walk, it's like they writhe and just move a shadow across.
So, we're going to play a Soothe card.
All right. All right, we've played the Tyrannical Clock.
Right. Hey, Chromatic Chimera, thank you for the raid.
Hi,
thank you so
friends.
much.
Thank you.
So the Tyrannical
Also, welcome to the
Clock.
terror.
Welcome to the terror. The Tyrannical Clock is invisible. So in terms of the color, so all magic is enhanced because the invisible sun is the source of all magic as it flows through the suns of the path. Notions, so is the card family. So notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Meanings are oppression, time, countdown, schedule, and repetition. We live and die quite literally by time. It rules our actions, for we have no actions without it. We struggle to accomplish what we must by a certain time, or we face grim consequences. We eat, sleep, and even breathe, measured by the movements of the clock. It is our master. It is our enemy.
Lucky for you all, I prepared for this. So, Cypress, you are there, looking at yourself, holding this creature, and she has asked you, "Do you want to play?"
I greatly want to play.
So what do you do?
I know what I want to do.
Okay.
I kind of really want to do a thing.
I think you should do the thing.
Do
Okay.
the thing.
Do the thing.
But I don't know if it'll make sense, but I just really want to do it.
Don't ever question that here.
So if you could see Cypress's tattoos, one starts to move up her arm and crawl until you can see the ink kind of rising out of her neck. And then she opens her mouth unreasonably wide. And out of it, you see these writhing tentacle claws just crawl out of her mouth. And she just holds it in her hands.
Do they have a name?
Barnabas.
Barnabas. Okay.
Of course, I can see this.
From across the
You
room,
sure
there's
can.
just cheating.
You started it!
Xylan's like over there, just like, what?
No one
She's one of those.
And so you can, the rest of you can hear this. You heard a gurgling noise, I'm sure, or something. Maybe it doesn't sound like gurgling. Maybe it sounds like music. I don't know. Cypress, what does it sound like when you disgorge a creature?
Oh, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like the really subtle strings of violin music. and specifically, I think Nocturne. You just start to hear that start to play as the creature crawls out.
Woof. Okay. All right. So, upon seeing this, your other half gets quite excited, and she puts her creature down and says, "Let's race."
I would be delighted to.
And she pulls out a stopwatch. And she holds it. And she kind of dangles it for a moment. And then she throws it up and catches it and clicks it. And you can hear a ticking that has begun. And then you begin to see her sort of melt. She disappears. She just is melting into herself onto the ground and leaving only this watch behind that continues to tick. And then you hear in your head, "You found the wrong one. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds, perhaps more, perhaps less."
This is delightful. Hyacinth.
What? I'm just not ready. I'm sorry. I'm panicking.
Hyacinth. I'm going to need your help, otherwise I think they might eat my soul. If you could help me find my shadow, that would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I will haunt you for the rest of your life.
Well, you haunt me now as it is, so fine. But that thing you made's not living in the apartment.
Barnabas can hear you!
I'll go over to my sister. Quickly-ish. Right, what do you need? What?
I'm going to turn to... Sorry, I forgot the pronunciation. Dan.
Zeinlin. You're
Zeinlin.
muted, Dan.
Zeinlin.
I'm going to turn to Zeinlin and say, the game is afoot. Can you tell where I am?
Have I gotten any other cypresses? This is the only cypress I've found so far.
Who else is in this room?
I just start rattling off names.
We got Jan and John and Bob and Tim.
Sure, Jan.
There's a lot of sweets, actually. We are.
Just like 80,000
Yeah.
sweets.
Sweet.
So many
sweet,
There's
sweet,
100
sweet,
sweets.
sweet,
Just
sweet.
we are very prevalent in your current situation.
Meanwhile, all of you can hear the quiet ticking of this clock. And Zeinlin, you saw all of this happen. You saw all this occur. And the two little creatures have become quite good friends. Suddenly there are flowers there that they are picking.
Oh.
They're dying immediately as soon as they pick them, but they're there for a little
They're
bit.
doing their best. It's fine.
I have a thing that might be helpful, but I'm not sure if it would actually do anything, and I don't know if he would know if it would do anything or not. It's an incantation. Gazing back to hidden glances. It allows me to track the path of a being whose name I know. And I don't know if I said the name Cypress, if it would just, show me Cypress who's standing next to me, or if it could, find the other half of her.
What does it look like when you do this?
So there's sort of a shadow cast on his face from his shawl, and the shadow begins to grow a bit. until it absorbs everything but his right eye, which sparkles for a second, and then locks on to the path of the thing that he's searching for. And he just says, "My dear sister Cypress."
He doesn't need to roll anything for this, right?
Level
Or does
5?
It depends. Let me see.
That's not what I want.
Yes, he probably does.
Okay.
It's got the notation of +1 die, which anytime you're using magic and you roll, you are always rolling another dice, but this is just to indicate that you probably do. So what it would be you determine the level of the challenge of like finding this path, like if it's divination, if it's hidden, like how well is it hidden, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then he will roll. And your venture will start out at 5 because it's the level of the incantation, which is a 5th level incantation. And you can add some stuff to bump that up a little bit. But yeah.
So, okay, so this I think would be. How do I? I think that this would be a situation where you are finding something that is not necessarily invisible, but close. It's like hidden. So I'm looking at the effects table now, right? To determine, is that what I'm determining?
There's another one that's specific to divination.
Okay.
At least in the book as a guideline, and I forget where it is. If I was going to toss out a number, it's like hidden things that like very few people know, for instance, like in terms of knowledge, which is this isn't the exact same thing, are often up in that like 8, 9, 10 range.
Okay.
So
I'm going to say that this is like a 9. Let's make it an 8. Which is still high, but I'm going to say 8 for reasons.
and then your venture's at 5, Anders.
Okay. I'm just going to roll it. I think that those odds are in my favor.
50-50.
It's 2 dice, right? Because this is magic.
That's right, you're rolling 2. Yeah.
7.
Okay. So that's like a partial success then, right? Is that right? Or
No,
Well,
it's a full success.
It's
'Cause
12.
the venture,
I think, in
the
total.
venture's 5.
Oh, math!
So that,
Math.
so,
Yep.
So that subtracts off the 8. So
Okay.
he only needed to roll 3 or higher.
Got it. Okay. So you are able to tell that it's not really the other half of yourselves. It's really yourselves. Cypress is not missing any part of herself. And you, as far as you can tell, Hyacinth, Cypress is here currently in the exact spot where that watch currently rests on the ground.
I will grab my sister's hand. Look her in the eyes. And it's creepy because I have one eye right now.
That's really creepy.
Well, Cypress, you can't see anything.
No. Tick-tock, dear sister.
I feel like it's the wrong thing to do. I really want to break the watch, and I feel like that's not a good idea.
You're talking to someone who plays like Billy, so I say do the thing. But you have to ultimately decide what Cypress would do.
Cypress would pick up Barnabas and then pick up the watch. And then she is going to crush it in her hand.
And as soon as you crush it, you can feel something release back into you. And you see you have a new flower that exists among your other tattoos.
I turn no pet Barnabas. Val's just thinking, that's ominous, I love it. Trying so hard to stay in character, but this is really cool. I'm going to squeeze Hyacinth. I'm going to try and find Hyacinth's hand. It's like grappling around in the darkness with his crushed wolf. He's like,
No, here.
How is my left or your left?
Oh my god. I will grab her hand.
And I'm going to give it just a squeeze.
I want to amend that you don't see that, but you can feel it. Because I realized, wait, no one can see anything except for Simon and Hyacinth.
I'm just like, oh, well, that seemed fine.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
I'm just gonna hold my sister's hand for a while. That's all.
So, due to brain fog, I don't recall. Zylan, did you find
Nope.
your shit? You have not found yours.
Well,
yet.
it's here because it was with Cypress's, but I was letting Cypress go.
Got it.
Go first.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
So I just start pacing around mine and examining it.
Okay. As you do, you see yourself. However, you look cracked.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like you are kind of made of porcelain, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just standing here and you have cracks in you. But you are unmoving. Doesn't even look like you're breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, aren't you broken? Hollow. A poor facsimile. Hollowed out. Full of darkness. As it should be. I'm not going to the Pale. Ever.
Do you say this? You say this aloud.
Yeah, I'm saying this out loud. To it. I'm talking to it.
Got it. Just before we continue with this narrative, pull one more Sooth card.
Sure thing. We have played The Inevitable Cataclysm. Magic of the gold is enhanced, silver is diminished, card family is visions, meanings are bad luck, endings, inevitability, and breaking a relationship.
Woof.
Yeah, while we fear the cataclysm, it is inevitable. We cannot prevent it. The end comes for all things eventually, and we cannot stop it. We can try and survive, but that's likely the best we can hope for. An optimist might try to say that a cataclysm can be cleansing and change things for the better. But the inevitable cataclysm really isn't about that. It's about endings.
And so as these words kind of exit your mouth, you see this porcelain version of yourself twist and turn its way around to you in an unnatural way, in a creaky way. And it meets eyes with you, although there is a crack across one. And you can see its jaw begin to unhinge. And this suddenly feels very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And your jaw continues to unhinge. And out of its mouth slithers a darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And it falls down onto the ground and begins reaching towards you.
So I sort of do two things. One is, because I've still got my sleeves pushed up, and I sort of just reach over and touch one of the tattoos, and I cast a spell, and I'm casting Mortiferum, and it slithers down my arm and over my hand and starts to drip down like a thick tar. And as I'm sort of bending down, and I'm still talking and muttering to this porcelain, as I'm bending down towards the pool of shadow, and this shadow is dripping, this darkness is dripping off of my hand and forming into a blade, which I hold, and I sort of have it angled behind me. And I just say, I'm used to my shadow. My shadow moves on its own. And my soul is already filled with darkness. I've pledged its service, and I will pledge it more. And at the same time, I'm going to grab, like violently grab, the bit of squirming darkness as I swing my arm up around from behind me to punch it into the chest of this porcelain shell to break it. And then I'm holding, I just want to seize this squirming darkness in my hand, holding it in front of me, and swallow it.
Okay. So, as you do this, two things happen. The first is that you see your porcelain self begin to crack more, and it begins to crumble, and it falls to the ground in dust and disappears, and you can see a bit of this billowy smoke. But as you swallow this, and it slides down your esophagus, you can feel those tentacles that you swallowed just the night before grab hold of this and begin to rip it apart inside of you. And it feels a bit painful, but you know that there can be nothing without some destruction. And so as it rips apart inside of you, you can feel bits and pieces of it seep back into yourself. And you feel as though that may come in handy later. And
Darkness is pure and will tolerate no impurity.
And so, as this happens, this veil that you seem to be in falls and fades, and you find yourselves facing the carnival. And the fires are behind you. The space where you just were is behind you. You made it out on the other side. And as you continue to play and explore and you remember to forget, but with a lowercase f, not capital. The camera pans back and away, and you can see that these carnivals exist all over Saturnine, even in pocket dimensions. And we see these lines begin to form between them, drawing across the lands and across the spaces between. And you all feel the ground shift and rumble. The air thickens, and you're not sure why. And the clouds seem to turn. And you all feel something open. Something somewhere opens. And from the depths of the dark, we see something begin to leak out and form. And the enemy of mercy takes their first steps. And we see the Carver siblings, which are one giant body with 3 heads, sit back in their traveling home, and they simultaneously, all 3 of them, take out their watches, check, smile, and put them back. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yes.
Yes. Emma, that was amazing.
Ah!
Can I play here forever? Can we just say
Yes.
No mercy.
We live at this carnival now.
We are entertained.
So, we did it. Thank you all for bearing with me through some of that. I appreciate it a lot. I learned a lot. I still have so much to learn about this game, but that was a
You're
lot of
always
fun. and
amazing.
Thank you all.
So
Thank you. I thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. So we should go around and I guess do joy and despair for characters, right? Isn't that what you do now?
Yep.
And then if you want to share who you are, where we can find you, and your favorite moment from this evening, thank you. Why don't we go in reverse order, and we will start with Hyacinth, Anders.
That's me.
Anders.
Hello, I'm Anders. I'm a person on the internet. You can find me at I'm sorry. That was so good. That was so good, Emma. I'm not a person anymore. I am something that used to be a person on the internet. You can find me at Anders_D_K. That's my Twitters. All my other stuff is on my Twitters. I write some games. I play in a bunch of games. Mostly on this channel. That's it. That's my plugs. What are we supposed to be doing? Joys and despair?
Joy and despair.
I think I know it's been so long since I played Invisible Sun. I don't remember how this works. I think seeing himself dead but still cursed, aka he has not succeeded in cleansing the curse from his body, would definitely be a despair. Because that's his main goal right now, is to not be cursed anymore. And clearly in that reality that didn't work. So I think that's a despair. For sure.
Okay.
yeah.
I would agree. Is there any joy? Did you have any joy?
My
for your
sister
stuff?
gave me a lollipop.
You can only get one. Joy or despair or none.
Well, there you go. Okay. Anders also makes amazing games, so you should absolutely check his stuff out.
Favorite moment.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Also that, yeah.
Everything that came out of your mouth tonight, Emma, just all of it was so good.
Oh, thanks.
So good.
Thanks.
It was incredible, and you were made to play this game and run this game, and it was beautiful, and I loved it, all of it, every second, and that all of it was my favorite moment. That.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna cry. I was so nervous. Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Taryn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taryn. You can find me on the Twitters at TarzanOZ. And you can perceive me in the gray at such. But Sweets and I definitely experienced some joy this evening as we were able to perceive ourselves as many, but yet one. So I believe that was quite a joyous occasion. So, perceive as our favorite moment this evening, I think just experience everyone as their characters at the beginning, seeing how everyone sort of engaged themselves in this before the festivities. So
Taryn also runs a game on Sundays called Urban Shadows. You can find
oh
it
yeah,
here.
there's that whole thing, but whatever, it's fine. I don't really.
It's really
been
good.
a
And you all
day.
should
It's
yeah. It's been a long day.
It's
Oh, Taryn. Okay. Maria.
Hello, I'm Maria. You can find me at Happy Capster on Twitter, where I can hit the mute button really, really, really well. Joy and despair. Definitely despair for Pell. That moment of remembering and realizing the almost truth that he was living, and then realizing that it in fact was a terrible lie. Nope, not great. Bad time for Pell. I had a favorite moment. My favorite moment was the interaction that I can't remember how to pronounce it, that Dan's character had with their shadow. Zeinlin. I'll get it. I promise. I probably misspelled it and I'm just throwing myself off. The moment that Zeinlin had with their shadow, I was just like, can I just watch Dan play games all the time? But also with Emma, so Emma can just run games all the time. You're both such wonderful wordsmiths and I love it. But as far as things that I'm doing, I'm also in Urban Shadows on Sunday nights. It's real great. Things are totally not bad there. And then Mondays, Emma also runs Grim Femmes, which is really cool. And it's a super great time also as well. And then usually here we're in space, not in Saturn. But also I am part of Goblin Society Games, or at Society Goblins on Twitter. Where we're releasing a bunch of magic items for D&D 5e. Also, if we're going to a catacon in Dayton next weekend, if we're going to be there, we're going to be running some games. This cool homebrew D&D weird thing called the Kobold Grinder. If you went to Gen Con and played that, it's real fun. So if you're going to be there, come see us. It's cool.
And then joy or despair for Pell. So
yeah, despair for. I mentioned that before I did all my plugs.
Oh, did I miss? I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it was
really great.
No, it was after they got back from their.
I remember everything you said. Now I just
okay. No, it's cool.
It's had a moment.
You are a moment. You know that.
Okay, thank you, Val.
Hi, I'm the entity formerly known as Val. You can find me on Twitter at the Nerdy Niffler. You can find me here tomorrow in Variant Roles with Courts of the Shadow Fae, where my character Satali's murder board is going way up. Everything is going really well. There's no murder, don't worry about it. And then we're here on Monday with Grim Femmes, and then usually on Thursdays, as Maria said, we're in space. And everything is fine there. Everything is totally okay. There's nothing to worry about. Some people may have stabbed themselves with a crystal. It's fine. God, favorite moment. We converge. The whole Legion speech. I was there like, this is so badass. And like Taryn with the voice and the accent when it was that we converge. I was like, ah, it's so cool. Like, a lot of what I do is desperately try and stay in character as a stoic person when in reality I'm like this.
We understand that moment.
It's so cool. Joy and Spellwise. Joy, Cypress is having the time of her life. She's having such a great, she's like, I'm learning so much. I got to visit the Pale Tent because her favorite place is the Pale. She's having the best time right now. Which, yeah, she's one of the most well-adjusted characters I've ever made, which is saying something.
Oh no.
And I never know how to leave things, so that's me. Bye-bye.
You nailed it. That's right. And Dan.
Yeah, so I'm Dan at Madside DM. Twitter in here is where you can find me on the internet. And yeah, usually Thursday nights we're here with Project VHS with this fine crew in space, as we've mentioned, and sometimes Invisible Sun, doing stuff. And you can also catch me here this Saturday after, what are we calling it? Saturday morning D&D in Hell. So Eugenio will be running session 2 of our of his Avernus game. But after that, at I forget the exact time, I think like 12:30 Eastern, so like noon and change. I believe we are going to be doing the first of a bi-weekly sort of on again off again review series of some products that we've had sent to us from various companies.
Cool.
And we're going to be starting with the Arcanus setting. So it's
yes.
yeah, so it's a super extensive campaign setting, and we're going to do the review of that. So make sure you stick. Yeah, so make sure you watch Eugenio, because that game is redonkulous. And who doesn't want Saturday morning cartoons, but in hell? Like, let's just lean into the satanic panic and go right there. So that'll be good. And then stick around afterwards for us to hang out and chat for a little bit and review that product. And of course, come back here next Thursday as we continue our explorations in space and the void.
Don't forget to like us, subscribe if you're really wanting to support us, and check out our Patreon if you want to support us month to month. Patreon.com/variant roles. As we we keep creating awesome content and kind of keeps the light on here.
Yeah.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel too.
Yes.
So in terms of my character, favorite moment, Emma, that initiation ceremony was
the best
So good.
shit
Thank you.
ever.
That was the best. So thank you for indulging me.
Hell yeah.
Everybody, to finish that arc. So he gets joy from that, but that's separate because it's specific to finishing an arc.
Sure.
So I think overall for the session that it would be joy, even though I mightily need despair. But it would because I need some crux. Yep. But I think it would be joy because his darkness was such an asset in sort of everything. Mm-hmm. So the dark being just like illustrated as a fundamentally good choice of his to pledge himself to and to live in, because he lives in the dark, was great. So I think that's overall would be joy for him for that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And I'm opening my next character arc, which is Uncover a Secret, because I want to find the ritual called Scream into the Void, where I literally pledge my soul to the dark, as in when I die, I do not go to the pale. My soul goes to oblivion in the dark, in exchange for power.
Well, there it is.
That's how Zylan lives his life.
Fast. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Anyway. So. Okay, so that's me. Hello, hi. I'm Emma. You can find me at MK Hansen on Twitter. On Mondays, I am here running the Grim Femmes, which is where we use storytelling to process real life trauma and pain. And then on Thursdays, this group is Project VHS. We are out in space exploring really weird, scary occult stuff. And so thank you all so much for this evening. I had so much fun. There really are no coincidences in the actuality. And I know that as a GM, I shouldn't have a favorite moment, but my favorite moment was Maria picking the number fucking 14.
Tell me why, please.
Okay, because 14,
Continue.
so every sun, or every space of shadow of the sun has a number assigned to it. And there's also a night side of each of those. The number 14 is assigned to the night side of indigo. Yeah, I know. As soon as you did that, I was like, are you kidding me? So that was really awesome. That gave me a lot of ammo to figure out how to get you out of there, because I was like, I'm not sure how any of this is going to play out, y'all. I don't know what's going to happen. So when you said that, I was gonna run with whatever number was assigned to whichever space and play it out that way. So that was
I got
awesome.
so many goosebumps right now.
Yeah, that was amazing. So that was my favorite moment, because that was really, I was like, oh, this is meant to be cool. So yeah, that's it. That's me. Thank you all for doing this. Thank you for everyone who hung out in chat. As Taryn and Dan said, follow us, like us, check out all the amazing stuff that everybody is making, playing, creating, doing. I think that's it.
All right, I'm gonna send us over to Welcome Party RPG.
Oh yeah,
We're still on.
We're gonna raid.
So we'll raid them, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Are they on?
They are.
Okay.